I'm gonna be able to get into editing and all that shit. But we're going. We're live. So, are we gonna have
All right.
any kind of name to this shit? No.
Are we recording now?
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah.
All right.
So, talking about AI.
Let's do it. We could do that. We could do that. potential apocalypse. I've been watching Ancient Aliens lately. And I think it's yeah. I'm convinced that society reaches a certain level of advancement, and then reaches essential self-destruction, regularly.
I think that's why we're wouldn't see intergalactic, because that's what one of the things that Joe Rogan had said on that podcast.
What?
Like that we become some kind of symbiotic, like artificial cyborg thing, and throwing that at Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
If that's why we haven't ever had any aliens come in, any extraterrestrial.
I don't personally believe in. Do you believe in them?
I don't know. I feel like it's so big out there. There has to be something else.
It's potential. There's definitely potential, but it's like
But
the question is, what is that?
Ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and we might not be. But the thing that I'm kind of convinced of is just the fact that, like, you look at some of these artifacts from like early on, like prehistoric, like you look at like certain megaliths, and I mean everybody knows about Stonehenge, but you look at certain things that occur in like South America. This stuff is done to such precision. And I was talking to you about that. That like to this day, like our current engineers with our level of sophistication would have trouble doing these things.
Like what?
So that means like these
the
societies,
pyramids.
like this is like 9,000 years ago. I mean, yeah, the pyramids.
The pyramids, right? But those other things like Stonehenge and all that, is it like? Well, you're saying isn't that like carved? They didn't understand just with how big the rock is.
Well, just to assume that like somebody with like a stick and like a rock is going to be able to carve out, these giant 50, 60 ton stones and put them together, perfectly align them as if they're like melted.
So what's your hypothesis?
My hypothesis is that I don't know. I think historically we were significantly more. I don't think we were primitive. Like to just assume the fact that let's say your brain. Let's say it's the same brain. We're the same people. We haven't evolved significantly in the past 10,000 years.
Right.
Who's to say that we didn't reach a level of sophistication because we, or a level of mass communication,
and then it fell back off,
and then and then I think we just reached self-destruction, and then.
But wouldn't there be more evidence of that?
Cycle.
Oh,
that is the evidence, right? I mean, I don't know. Like,
I feel like
do you think
history-
Chicago is gonna stay for thousands of years like this? This shit's all gonna disappear. That's not
right, but but the history would, if it did disappear, history would show that it existed like this for sure.
How?
I don't know.
so?
I'm with that. I think so.
I think so.
I think for sure. I feel like
Like fossils,
I believe
like buildings crumble
historians, like the timeline we know about that we get taught at schools. You know what I mean? I believe that for the most part. And I believe the whole the evolution side, because that was that other audiobook I listened to, like Bill Nye one on evolution and all that. And I don't know. I do believe that, just in the natural progression of things with us fucking opposable thumbs and that all taking course from there to where we are now. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if those things are that advanced. Like I understand rock formations, but maybe that's just with the pyramids. Didn't they say it was just massive amounts of slave labor that you know what I mean? They push these things into place and all that.
I don't know.
Well, a lot of these things people theorize, like Dragon says, were too advanced for a primitive society, like that, the Mayan calendar involving the astrology and knowing every so many decades there's going to be this eclipse and all these things. So that's a popular theory, but
I mean, additionally,
I think the real theory that's popular is that alien life came and showed humans how to do it and then left.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is another theory. But it's questionable. But if you look at
us along,
look at certain. I mean, if you look at certain artifacts and certain I mean, they performed fucking brain surgery, thousands of with and there's evidence of them actually cutting into these with precision, cutting into people's skulls and then there's evidence of healing afterwards, meaning the person continued to live after this sort of, and there's pictures of surgical procedures.
Surprising.
Yeah, this is this is like, I'm talking like, 1,000 years before, like BC, or before Common Era, BC, to be politically correct.
Right.
I mean, it's. I just think that's.
No, I haven't heard about all those happenings and all that. It does seem pretty wild, but I don't know. It's just like there has been so much time that's passed already. Like, if it was gonna happen somewhere else, like wouldn't it have? I don't know.
If what was gonna happen?
Well, I wonder how hard. Maybe like it's like time or traveling through space is like harder than we think, and our science things prove it to be. Right? It's always just like warp drive, and then you go. You know what I mean? To get really somewhere really far away and like stay in there. We've launched satellites. You know what I mean? All the way to Mars. Like
Farther.
Oh yeah, even farther than Mars.
We've gone. We've gone.
Keep
like,
going. Yeah.
We've seen Pluto. We've seen not Pluto, but have we seen Pluto?
What do you mean seen it?
Like via
With
satellite, because we've launched a probe
that kept on going.
that kept on going. We reached pretty much
NASA just threw
like
it.
Saturn's moons and shit like that. And,
So
Well, I think the overarching theory is that space is so big that there's so many universes with so many galaxies and so many planets and so many life forms that somewhere out there's a life form that got so advanced that it created artificial intelligence.
Yeah, potentially.
Which then became exponentially more advanced.
Yeah.
Which then could travel through universes.
Well, if the universe is infinite, right,
You know
and
what I
it
mean?
keeps expanding.
So
then,
even though in our reality, like traveling even to like Mars is like basically impossible for a human to do at this point, like in some other universe, some other civilization got advanced to a tipping point where they created AI.
Yeah.
And then past that tipping point, they became exponentially more advanced because AI obviously.
But like, why AI?
Because AI advances.
Why not themselves?
Because AI would advance exponentially. Because AI would take whatever your limitations are and break through them exponentially.
basically,
Yeah, but why does it
I
have
think
to
he's
be-
saying like why
why would
every
it- why would it-
civilization progress to AI?
Why would it be on the basis of what we use
Because
and know here?
Because intellectually, like AI is like steroids.
Yeah, but that's with our understanding of it, right?
Mhm.
Like, and why would you assume that other civilization, if it were to exist somewhere else in the universe, would go via
I
that
don't know.
path?
In some ways, I look at it as just like automation, almost like how it's made, like. But it's not necessarily. But I feel like it's close to that, like the progression of. Right, we need to do these tasks all in order, like an assembly line thing. But then that's like, in the complicated stuff we do, right?
Excel, right? Like, just make it quick, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but then the complicated stuff we rely on people. But then, what if you can eventually clone like people? Brains. That's why they're talking about replacing like accountants and like being able to predict
with
trends and
AI.
all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's the big thing with it. So I don't know, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like a different civilization could develop completely differently, like
That's what I'm-
intelligence
literally.
wise. Like we don't know what it looks like, but we only have our brains. Our
You don't even
understanding.
know what their nature looks like. What they're like. I mean, like they're just. What would be supported there? What sort of environment do they develop in? It doesn't necessarily. I mean, like we say that like water, based off of our understanding here on Earth, like water is the basis of life. So we always look for water or something that has this kind of like it's within this Goldilocks zone and it has water and then it's gotta have
I really
life.
do wonder if that's universal.
But yeah, exactly.
But if
Is that
anything
universal?
was gonna be, I would believe that that's like between planets, like I don't know. It's like all the atmospheres we see. Like if you go different galaxies away, does it not still have the same basis of
I don't
weather,
know.
atmosphere? It's
Or
like,
just like even like laws of nature at that point, like are they the same? Like
see, but we would like to think at least physics is supposed to be one of these sciences.
It's supposed to be universal.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
physics,
supposed to
yeah.
be. Like that's how we have to try to understand how to get there. And if NASA's gotten as far as they have,
I think the point is that AI would exponentially increase advancement.
I get what you're saying, and it exists, but like I mean, I was watching, and you were talking about this, or like before when we were discussing this, about how like they essentially, what's it called? They very quickly when they allow it to kind of like roam free, it starts developing its own language, and I know like it was it the Facebook was it Zuckerberg that put like it was like two AIs on two different like profiles or whatever, they connected them,
we
and like
watched that over
nobody.
here, and
Yeah.
then they shut it down. See,
Yeah.
but then someone's theory on that, like, yeah, I mean, you have to wonder, that could have been a fluke though, just some bad programming or weird shit, but it is really interesting to think about, because then we had watched that one that's what was it, the one that's what was the thing they watched after we watched
Google?
the Zuckerberg thing? The Google one, yeah, the Google Assistant that like has a conversation with someone. It has all like the cadences of a human voice. Like it sounds like conversation like this. Like the person on the other side couldn't tell. And I feel
That
like
it
was
wasn't that it was an AI, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Yeah, that's the. I feel like that's the thing that Facebook was trying to reach, and like, but see, yeah, I don't know. That was my.
I don't know. I mean, it's yeah, but like I'm. Has there been evidence of one? Like, if you allow it to, let's say you feed it all that information that we have on our web, you know, whether it's just on the web, the stuff that people input, and it has all that information all at once, and it's able to process it all at once. So it's really strong, you know, really big processor. Have they ever actually allowed something to just consistently
But on
run?
a national scale, the impact.
But what about? I mean, stuff like, I wonder, like Watson. You know how like IBM Watson is like, I mean, the supercomputer. I don't know if it like has conversation and answers stuff, but I would
It
think
doesn't
one
necessarily.
like that
Yeah.
is like, I mean, you know that I feel like that would be one of the first things they would let loose and just let. You know,
Is that what's happening? I mean,
I'm
with
not
that
sure.
thing, I'm not too familiar.
with Watson, yeah, I know they just used it to, I don't know, compute crazy shit. I mean, IBM helps a lot of companies do all that, but whether it's
Remember what I told you about IBM?
What? I think it's unrelated to this.
It is not related to this.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I guess that's not truly AI because true AI has like self-awareness.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like analyses. Like, does this thing run analyses? Just
Yeah,
like
that-
let
well,
it give
but
feed
what
it
are
all
they
this
calling it?
information. Let
Well,
it
that-
spew shit
Well,
out.
that's different because when you're talking about AI, you're talking about like a living being that has self-awareness.
so this is annoying.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you can't. I
Why
get.
would
You're
I
saying
be able to
self-aware.
fast forward?
Because if you just create a super,
Okay, 30. You see the 30 seconds? That's
Yeah,
like
but that's the
'Cause
only
you're-
way I can do it.
you're
This
basically-
thing's 9 hours long.
you're basically describing a super. There's chapters in the bottom.
Oh yeah, see chapters. Oh, try that.
Oh,
The Dragon, what you're describing is a
yeah,
supercomputer.
they're an hour.
Dragon.
No, I get that. No, I'm not necessarily like. Okay, let's say. Well, yeah, but like, okay, so like, what's the difference between
Because
AI and this?
The thing is,
Very important.
yeah. for
So
sure.
that's a supercomputer. We're talking about AI, which has self-awareness.
Okay, meaning that it knows that it's AI.
I mean, probably, but I'm saying when something becomes self-aware,
See, you're talking about something specific though. They call that reaching the starts with an S.
let's put it this way. We all have a supercomputer in our mind, in our head, in our cranium. It's called the brain. But since we also have a conscious and a sense of self and self-existence, then now we're, you know, that's not artificial intelligence, but that's how you create artificial intelligence.
Do you think that thing has a sense of self-existence?
What, my dog?
Contemplation, like we do.
My dog?
Yeah,
It does have self-awareness, yeah.
but it's like, what do you think it?
They have needs to survive. They need food, they need love, they need, you know, connection and community.
Yeah, but like, what it's kind of like.
Like otherwise,
I mean,
otherwise you're just talking about a supercomputer.
Yeah, but like, what constitutes? You're thinking like something that's like comparable to humans or comparable to like animals, with self-awareness and feelings and shit. Is that
Yes.
what you're talking about?
Something with instincts, something with a
Well, it does,
self-awareness.
arguably,
Self.
does. I don't know. Like I am I and I exist. Does that happen
And wait, I think I missed it.
with AI? Like, is AI self-aware? No,
Right. And
Is AI
no, that's the
self-aware?
thing. Have you seen the movie like
That's
Ex
artificial
Machina?
intelligence.
Yeah, I've
Ex
seen
Machina
that.
or
but,
whatever. It's like, I don't know. See, because we have to theorize what's going to happen when they do understand themselves. You know what I mean? There's no guarantee that like how quick it'll happen, because that's the thing. That's what it didn't make sense with the Facebook things. Like that quickly. Like, you know, as soon as they can say hi, then they're gonna try to make their own language. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a logical, you know.
I mean, like, if it's
step
okay,
to,
so like,
to jump to.
but like it would be much quicker than we are and process a lot more than we do and
Right.
understand theoretically a lot more because it's like it's at a constant like level of knowledge of pretty much everything, right? Like because that's or whatever the fuck it is that you
Right,
feed.
because yeah, exactly. But have they been fed like everything, or are they starting from, you know, like I feel like that's a big difference, right? Because stuff like Watson is supposed to have like probably all the
Everything.
information in the world, but like I feel like every normal AI has to slowly learn it.
But they-
Like we would have to.
Have you ever seen the analyses that they're actually? I mean, like with artificial intelligence, they also have that like kind of like AI
Oh
learning.
yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
that stuff's-
deep learning and
Yeah.
machine learning is
yeah, that stuff's cool.
Right. No, that's the thing that I'm trying to find in here because this thing specifically, like, you know, has a chapter that like it tells you how they differ and like why from the AI in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that always fell off and, you know, didn't actually take off until like 2012 when they really figured something out with the deep learning and really our computers and everything got fast enough to make it possible. And so yeah, it's like it's
Do you
pretty
remember
interesting.
around what time it was?
Well, see, it's not making sense, but see, this is the first chapter, but like, I can't see how long the chapter is because this is the full 9 hours. You see, like, I'm at 23 minutes. When I go to the next, oh wait, hold on. Yeah, when I go to the next chapter, okay, it starts at 1 hour 10.
You can add
So-
bookmarks. Like whenever you see something interesting, you can add a bookmark and then.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. And it sucks that I didn't.
But yeah, Dragon. The point of AI is that it's a living being,
Okay.
right? So what makes a living being like? What separates a supercomputer from a living being? Get Dragon.
A supercomputer from a living being. What separates AI from? It's not a living being.
Yeah. What separates a supercomputer from you?
Wait, you're saying consciousness? and
I mean,
stuff
I don't
like
think AI is
soul?
capable of consciousness.
Yeah, they are.
How?
That's the point.
Well, I mean, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. In essence, when you tear it
That's
down.
when you cross over from normal technology to AI. That's the point.
But like, I mean, there's
Here,
not been
Google-
one individual.
Google the definition of artificial intelligence, Gavin.
It can't be. It would have to be like
I don't think it's going to
self-sustaining.
pertain to what we're talking about.
Oh, just
here.
Google it. Just Google what's the definition. Just Google artificial intelligence definition. The theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. Click on the little arrow down arrow.
Yeah, it's not what you want. So, I mean, I feel like that.
But I don't think
does
we've
define it pretty
achieved
well.
what you. I don't think we've achieved the level of what you're. You're thinking like we talked about.
Yeah, we're not there
Something
yet.
like in like the Matrix. You know what I mean? Like that. Like that. That's. Those are self-aware AIs.
AI reaching singularity. That's what they call it.
Okay.
Oh,
Singularity is what they call it when you understand that you are like that you exist or whatever.
Technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible.
Right,
Okay.
unfathomable changes to human civilization. Like that's what Elon Musk was saying and all that. I mean,
An upgradable intelligent agent would enter a runway reaction and self-improvement cycles, with each new and more intelligent generation
Yeah.
occurring more and more rapidly.
Yeah, which they'd evolve faster than we do. Theoretically, we feed it. more.
right? Because you get smart, really smart, and then because you're so smart, you
You're getting smarter.
yeah yeah. It's like an exponential
Mhm.
thing with
Well,
intelligence. I guess
it's a matter of like communication. Like it would be like that one being or that one artificial intelligent, like entity or whatever it was, would have the capability of pretty much all of civilization because it would have the knowledge of all of civilization. So think of like an artificially intelligent supercomputer.
that doesn't even need something else to exist per se. So it'd be able to process and analyze this shit within, seconds. What they
Right.
say, like you have to go sit down, have a meeting, do this sort of research, do that research,
and it's
be able
possible
to-
that like we would like build it. Like imagine, you know what I mean? You can't stop it, but you can't kill it because it's like it exists in the internet. You know what I mean? It's not something that you can point a gun at. That's a
No,
problem
it's just
with it,
there,
too,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's like because we are going to become very reliant on technology, right? You know how the future's going to look like, whatever. Like you couldn't just not have your your phone or whatever it's going to be. Your whole house and stuff is going to be
Well, like think of
a
what
part
like
of the network.
like think of our brain as a network, in like in the way of like the cloud as a network. Like there's certain networks.
I get that.
So like think of our mind and our consciousness that's within our own network of our brain. Like how do you define that consciousness? Like where is it exactly in our brain? So that same consciousness would develop within artificial intelligence, within the system,
Possibly.
And then it's self-aware and it wants to survive, it wants to evolve, it wants to,
But that is the question, right? Like it's because like all those creatures that do exist biologically, or they're held by certain. I mean, like they have certain requirements. Like in when you look at it, like the most basic form of life, you have to feed. You have to like compete against others around you and reproduce. That's what you have to do, right? Like that's.
Yeah,
A good-
But you can't compare a cellular organism.
No,
Things
a
on
really good example is like iRobot, which I saw like 10 years ago or whatever. But
Right.
remember in that movie, like they have all these really intelligent robots that are like assistants for everybody,
Yeah.
and then
And then they go, yeah.
and then they find out that some of them start developing their own conscious,
Yeah.
and they don't follow the program rules,
Yeah.
and they try the company tries to cover it up, and then those robots, the select few of them that did, like develop
their
consciousness,
propaganda throughout.
This-
then they took over all the robots.
That's like just like based off of like one ear, right? But like I mean, can't you limit these things?
Yeah, exactly.
In
You
the
create-
code.
Like you
Right.
create a
Right, right.
hyper intelligent supercomputer like type of artificial intelligence, and then it gets to a certain point where like you have so many of them, and then all of a sudden they evolve into having their own self awareness and their own conscious.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's not guaranteed to happen,
Right.
kind of thing. But I mean, that's one scenario that movie laid out. But yeah, I mean, that's what I know he was talking about. Like, can you protect it? But then, like,
I'm sure you can.
but then for for how long or whatever, I don't know. It's like, well, then yeah, we're relying on us. Well, but then also people are going to weaponize it. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's the thing
Oh,
that became a problem that Musk was saying, right? Because then if you're trying to weaponize it, then you're not holding it back, right? It's
Well, that is definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
There's always one bad apple. I mean,
Right.
if you look at the internet, like it was initially developed by the U.S. military, right? That's
Well, yeah, I'm sure most of the technological advancements like start military and trickle down from there. But
Yeah.
internet kind of, did its own thing after that. I mean, yeah, you can't like control it now.
No,
it's
now
out. It's a beast.
It's a beast, yeah.
Here, click on plausibility.
You're so needy.
It's like right to the left of it. Many prominent technologists and academics dispute the plausibility of singularity.
I question its ability just because of the limitation. Like it's not a biological entity. We're so complex.
I gotta get going. That's my alarm.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah,
It's 11:30. Takes you about what?
20 minutes.
Huh?
20 minutes.
Yeah, but she's not gonna just land and get up.
Well, she's not checking a bag, so she'll get out pretty fast.
Right. She touches down at midnight.
No, 11:40 if it's on time, and then it'll probably take her like 10 minutes to get out.
Alright.
So I should leave in like 5 minutes.
Alright.
You should bring a guest speaker.
Shake it up. Are we good for now? Am I stopping this recording?
Yeah. Oh, it was in a minute.